Well, Kimmel is getting absolutely desperate as new numbers have come out and Disney Plus lost millions of subscribers over his comments about Charlie Kirk and subsequent suspension of Jimmy Kimmel. The mainstream media is branding this as everybody who canceled Disney Plus must have been a Jimmy Kimmel fan. But the reality is that a ton of those cancellations were people who were mad at Jimmy Kimmel over his comments about Charlie Kirk. In fact, most of them most likely were. So how does he respond? Well, he gets desperate and he brings back Kids Drag Time Story Hour to the Disney Network. And in a desperate attempt to make headlines, nobody's talking about his ratings anymore because they're completely in the tank. Just like, by the way, I really wonder, what do we think South Park ratings are right now? Obviously, it's undeniable that they were massive when South Park came back and they were crushing it. Undeniable, right? The Trump episodes, maybe their most popular ever. Jimmy Kimmel the news has not reported on Jimmy Kimmel's ratings in a month. You could say the same thing for South Park, right? They only report on the ratings when they're good. Weeks after record-breaking premiere, why does South Park cut season 27 short? This article doesn't talk about their ratings. All it does is talk about ending their, season 27. And again, August 13th, this is over a month ago. I can't find anything about South Park's ratings in over a month. Why do you think that is? It's because they probably also fell off a cliff, just like Jimmy Kimmel did. Disney Plus cancellations jump after Kimmel's suspension. Roughly 3 million Americans canceled the streaming service in the month that it temporarily suspended Jimmy Kimmel's show. About 4.1 million people canceled Disney-owned Hulu. Now, the only people reporting on this are left-wing media outlets. So they're trying to say that these are all people that were Jimmy Kimmel fans, except they weren't. How can I know that? Well, because he never even had anywhere near 4 million viewers, right? When he returned, this is 3 weeks ago. When his show came back, he had 6.5 million viewers, easily his biggest ever. But by a week after that, he was back down to 2.3 million and then down to 1.7 million, back down to actually lower than his previous numbers. The ratings hype was short-lived because people tuned in to see him totally own Drumpf again, except they realized, well, oh yeah, this guy's unfunny and a loser, and I've heard all these jokes before. Jimmy Kimmel has seen their ratings drop significantly over the past decade, as the program averaged 2.4 million viewers in 2015. In 2018, it dropped to 1.9. In 2025, it averaged viewership of 1.6 million. Follow me, I'm going somewhere with this. The Kimmel Show in 2025, the year of the controversy, was averaging let's call it 1.5 million viewers. Yet 4.1 million people canceled Disney Plus. So do we think that the people who canceled Disney Plus were Jimmy Kimmel viewers? Well, that would be impossible because Jimmy Kimmel would be at negative 3.5 million viewers right now. Negative 3 million. We'll say, I forget what it was, 1.5 and 4.1. So they'd be at negative 3 million viewers. No, these were Republicans or conservatives that canceled. 4.1 million of them canceled Disney Plus, not leftoids boycotting Disney over this. That's statistically impossible. About 4.1 million people canceled Disney-owned Hulu. Then lower in the article, they talk about Well, it was 3.1. Well, which is it? 4 or 3? Let's say it's 4 because that's more likely. The numbers offered the first glimpse at the economic fallout for Disney from the Jimmy Kimmel Live dispute. The company pulled Mr. Kimmel's show on September 17th after growing criticism, including by a top federal regulator, which we now know wasn't the reason they pulled it anyway, but they're going to keep pushing that lie, over comments Mr. Kimmel made during his show about the man accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk. The show's suspension set off a national debate. People who were angry at Disney began calling for a boycott of the company's products, in particular its streaming services, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus. Tatiana Maslany, who starred in the Disney Plus show She-Hulk and got canceled after a single season, was one of the biggest financial losses they've ever had, posted on her Instagram account in support of Jimmy Kimmel. Churn at the entertainment industry's dreaded term is the dreaded term for the percentage of subscribers who cancel monthly, spiked to 8% for Disney Plus and 10% for Hulu. To compare, Netflix's churn rate stayed the same for the 13th month in a row at 2%. The churn rate is calculated by dividing the number of cancellations in a given month by subscribers at the end of the year. In August, Disney said it had 184 million subscriptions across Disney Plus and Hulu. So now they lost 4 million of them. Every one of these articles tried to talk about, well, this is a big liberal win. Disney Plus lost 3 million subscribers. Well, New York Times said 4.1. So Disney Plus lost 3. Hulu lost another 1.1 million for a total of 4.1 million is what it looks like. A new report shows a massive hit to the streamer's subscribership following the the political preemption, but an increase in new signups. The cope, the spin, the lies are at a legendary level. Viewers responded in droves to ABC's suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live in September. The politically motivated preemptive, it actually wasn't politically motivated, but anyway, late night following Jimmy Kimmel's Live, roughly 3 million Americans canceled the Disney Plus subscriptions, which represents nearly 300% increase of the previous 3 months average of 1.2. Slicing the data another way, it shows a doubling of the subscription cancellation rate, jumping from 4% to 8% for September and 5% to July to 10% in September. The momentary suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live and ABC by ABC at Disney-owned network is likely one of the major factors behind the subscriber drop-off. No. No. The reason you lost those subscribers were conservatives and fans of Charlie Kirk who unsubscribed. Nice lie, though. Nice attempted cover-up. How could 4.1 million people cancel Disney Plus when Jimmy Kimmel averages 1.5 million viewers? These were conservatives who were already not watching Jimmy Kimmel, so that's why it didn't affect his viewership, and they canceled Disney Plus. Nice try, mainstream media. Nice try at the lie. Didn't work, though, did it? Not a single article I could find actually gives conservatives credits for this massive drop in subs, but hopefully people like this video and share it out. We had some, the Kirk commentary isn't the only political source of the downward turn. Disney also announced a price hike across their streaming plans and bundles in September, set to take place in October. And I can confirm, not only did they set a price increase, but I'm pretty sure they sent like a push notification to your phones that said the price was increasing. And that almost certainly had some impact as well. But, the New York Times, Entertainment Weekly, and every one of these articles are just saying it's because a bunch of liberals stood on principle. No, it was a combination of conservatives leaving and the price increase. I don't know. I mean, outside, I pay for Disney Plus for my show, right? I have to watch shows occasionally, but I almost never open the app. I opened it this week to watch Treehouse of Horror episodes on The Simpsons, because that's where The Simpsons are. But I don't think I've ever watched anything else on the Disney Plus app. Maybe a Christmas movie or something like that. But like, I don't know. The price went up to like 11 or 12 bucks. My wife was like, why are we paying for this? We never even open it. I'm like, well, that's fair to say. But on top of that, again, spike in cancellations after Kimmel's suspension. No, wrong. It was because of Kimmel's comments that people left, plus the price increase. However, Jimmy Kimmel, desperate for ratings, brings back Drag Queen Storytime segment featuring children being read Eric Trump's memoir on Disney TV. ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live has revived his reoccurring Drag Queen Storytime segment, where a drag performer in a dress and makeup sits with a group of kids to read them excerpts from the conservatives' books and mock them. This time, performer Trixie Mattel, a biological man dressed as a woman, reads excerpts from Under Siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation, a newly released memoir by Eric Trump, to a group of children on national television. The episode aired Wednesday, making the show the first Drag Queen Storytime since Jimmy Kimmel Live returned to air this fall. Kimmel's previous season had faced controversy after a brief cancellation, following his false on-air claim, linking the alleged assassin of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk to a conservative. Dressed in women's clothing and full makeup, Mattel opened the segment by greeting the assembled children and asking, "Do I scare any of you?" The children, of course, replied as they were told, "No," with one adding, "You just look amazing. Why would that be scary?" That is so affirming. Thank you so much. You guys look amazing too. Make no mistake about it. Jimmy Kimmel's contract is up. We know Colbert is done in May. When is Kimmel's up? Jimmy Kimmel Kimmel contract up. I think his contract is up in 2026. I'm not sure exactly when. May 2026, his contract is up. There is next to zero chance they renew Jimmy Kimmel. They're just letting him flounder until the end of his contract, and that will mark the end of the late night propaganda machine. Anybody who wants to stay on late night will probably have to go back to actually being funny, and I don't think they're capable of it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.